All right, we are live. So we've hopped on a few minutes early so that way we can officially start at noon today instead of starting the live at noon and starting to chat at like 12:02. So we've got about 2 minutes left for people to hop on, and then we are going to kick off the topic of what the heck is a gut microbiome.
I'm excited.
Me too. Me too. Hot topic.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's like the new catchphrase, and you're like,
Yeah.
I think I know what it means, maybe.
Gut, like what? What's that?
Yeah.
Gut microbiome.
I know there were a few people I had talked to that were super excited about it. So,
oh, good.
Yeah.
Yeah. There are a couple of people that have said that they like enjoy this series. They just watch at Thursdays at noon, and so they watch later and stuff, which is really cool. I think like that we're able to do that and record. Hi, everybody who's like not live right now.
Right? Anybody who's going to watch this. Hi.
Future.
Future participants.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's gorgeous. I'm so excited for our lovely weather.
Oh, I know. I really appreciate that it dropped in temp. Who is our viewer? Somebody from your Facebook page. If you want to put your name in the comments, we'd love to know who you are. Oh, 3.
Yeah. Hey, Keith, go. What the heck are we talking about?
Are you in New York?
Is he in New York?
I think so.
Keith, if you're in New York, you're way colder than we are. We're having some gorgeous weather. You left at the wrong time.
Yeah, bummer. You left the wrong day.
My brother, I think, was supposed to get 9 inches of snow, not near his house, but near his office. And I was like, ooh, no thanks. Oh, leaves in 20 minutes.
Okay. Thank you for joining. That's so nice.
Right? Yeah, I'm going to shut down my Outlook because it's just going to make noise this entire time.
There's a setting you can change for that, by the way, but we can talk about that later.
There we go.
It is noon.
All right, let's jump this off. So, I always kick this thing off. Dr. Katie.
I know. Sure, I'll start this time. Hi, everybody. I'm Dr. Katie Schneller with Inclusive Natural Medicine. I'm the owner and operator, and my new space in Tempe is fully functional now. Not totally decorated, but it's happening. And I do a ton of autoimmunity and a ton of gut health, which I think is why this is such a fantastic topic. It's becoming more popular. I'm excited to talk about it. And this is my lovely co-host. What are we, equals? Co-hosts, right? Even though technically I feel like it's more your project and everything, but
nope. Full on partnership, girlfriend. Full on partnership. So yes, I am Teresa Paganini. I am a certified health coach, weight management specialist, and behavioral change specialist. And I help people that struggle with obesity as a result of emotional eating learn how to gain control of their emotional eating tendencies through a foundation of self-love. And I also help people learn how to manage their weight through nutrition and mindset. And so together with Dr. Katie's doctor knowledge and my passion for weight loss, we come together in this blunt and biased conversation about a variety of topics that turn us on and you on. And today I am super stoked to hear all of Dr. Katie's knowledge about what the heck is a gut microbiome.
Yeah. I don't even know really where to start. The first thing I think that's really interesting is that we have multiple microbiomes. It's not just the gut, right? Our skin is a microbiome. Our lungs have a microbiome. But the reason that we're focused so much on our gut microbiome is because it's so important. And of course, digestion, people think, oh, liver, spleen, kidney, poop, right? But it's involved in so much else. It's actually responsible for hormones, your immunity, tons of stuff. So I wanted to start with maybe like if you have a guess, unless you totally know, how many pounds of gut bacteria we have?
Well, this is going to be one way people are going to try to lose weight. And I'll be like, no, don't do that. How many pounds of gut bacteria?
Anyone watching? Any guesses?
Come on. I want to hear some good ones.
Ew, I don't know.
I'm going to say 3 pounds.
That is exactly right.
What?
pounds. We have 3 pounds.
I
That
am
is,
brilliant.
yeah, you're genius.
So hold on, before
So
you go further, Dr. Katie, I want to back you up just a little bit, right?
please go ahead. Yes.
Because so I hear the term microbiome all the time, usually not put with the word gut microbiome. So I think the first area of knowledge that people are probably have already gotten is that there's not just one, there's a
Correct.
variety. So what is a microbiome, since we have a variety of them? Before we start talking about the specific gut one, what does microbiome mean?
Thank you for backing me up. Sometimes I just kind of jump in and I forget to really, really boil it down. So, a microbiome just means a compilation of growing organisms. So that's fungus, it's protozoa, it's bacteria, it's viruses. That is what a microbiome is. And it's composed, of course, of cells. So there are trillions of cells that we have that compose our microbiomes.
And so our trillions of cells weigh 3 pounds.
Yes, just in the gut alone.
Just in the gut, just
Just the
that gut microbiome.
And by the way, it's something else that's very basic that might be helpful to clarify is we kind of think of our entire abdomen as our gut, but when we say gut microbiome, really what we're mostly talking about is our large intestine. So we eat food, right? Mouth, down the esophagus, into the stomach, then the small intestine, then the large intestine, then our colon, then poop.
And
So
out
when
it
we say
goes.
gut microbiome, we're talking about our large intestine. So when you talk about things like wanting to test exactly what's going on in your gut microbiome, we're talking about stool testing.
Hmm, I'm learning so much. I'm so excited.
Yeah. Something yeah, I mean, I can just keep kind of talking, but do you have any like questions about where we can go next?
Yeah.
Because
So guys, I'm going to ask questions until you ask questions. So, and
right.
we're doing this a lot for you, although I'm learning so much already. 3 pounds of gut microbiome stuff, and it's only the large intestine. I really thought it was the entire digestive tract,
Mhm.
from the stomach on down. So that really helps a lot. So when the gut microbiome, you touched on it briefly, but what are
Yes.
a variety of issues that tend to be influenced or impacted by the gut microbiome that may surprise people?
Yeah. Well, surprising ones. So one of the issues is that it's truly the gut microbiome, and we're just sort of finding this out over the last few decades or so from research, is that it impacts everything. What's going on in our gut is impacted by everything. And so conditions like immune conditions, autoimmune, obesity is determined by what's in our gut. And we kind of think, oh, well, yeah, that makes sense. But does it truly make sense to you that what you eat and what you're exposed to determines what's going on with the diversification of your gut microbiome? Because that's another thing that's really important. So people want to know about probiotics and prebiotics, and we can certainly get a little bit into that too. But your gut microbiome, for example, I believe it's 85% of your serotonin, which is responsible for happiness. So without serotonin production, we've got depression, right? Is strongly tied to gut. So perhaps that's the most surprising.
What about things like brain fog, memory? Like
Yes.
the brain and gut connection is so much stronger that they're realizing that there are things that impact our mind that are directly connected. And now I know specifically to the large intestine.
Now, there can be other reasons that you have symptoms like that. This is not to say that, if you're someone who suffers from brain fog or fatigue or joint pain or even digestive problems, that it's a gut microbiome issue. But just focusing on that, your gut microbiome is actually first initially made when you're born. So, something that I found so interesting through school is that whether you are born through C-section or through a vaginal birth, you get exposure to completely different gut microbiomes. So if you're a vaginal birth baby, as you are pushed out of the birth canal into your nose and mouth, sounds kind of gross, but this is natural. It's what we do. You get some of mom's gut microbiome on your way out, right? Into,
Mhm.
into the baby's nose and mouth. And that's one of the first exposures that the baby has to bacteria, viruses, protozoa, all of the natural things that we're supposed to have, or unnatural things. If you're a C-section baby, the microbiome exposure that you're getting comes from the skin of mom, even the skin of your nurse or your doctor.
Mm.
So it's really very different. And so that's kind of your first, that's how it's developed initially. That's how it starts. So people, might wonder like, well, how does it first begin?
Mhm. And so does this contribute to the importance of diet, not being on a diet, but diet of a pregnant mom, and why it's so important to really focus on nutrition? Because yes, it's nutrition for the baby, but how your gut microbiome, how healthy your gut microbiome is, directly impacts your baby as they're being delivered.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So I think one thing, just to just wrap that section of it together, is, as Dr. Katie said, the gut microbiome isn't the only thing that could impact the body. However, it can be. So as you are talking with your doctor, ensuring that the gut microbiome is a part of the equation that's being looked at if you are struggling hormonally, mentally, emotionally, memory wise, right? So like all aspects of the body are impacted by the gut microbiome. So if it's not being included in the what am I trying to say?
Like in the testing from a
Yes.
professional, yeah. If you've done all sorts of blood work and there doesn't seem to be any answers, you might consider doing a stool test with your doctor. And there are all sorts of stool testing. There are even some kits you can do at home, but when you want the really, really comprehensive ones, and in my medical opinion, the fewer times you have to collect your own poop, the better. Um,
Amen.
just get all the info all at once. Then you might go through a practitioner. So the one that I run is through a company called Doctors Data. Don't have any affiliation with them. It's just who I happen to use. And the test that I run the most is called the GI 360. It's a 3-day stool collection, and
Wow.
they give you all of the supplies and all the gloves, and they give you everything to ship it off yourself. So basically, I drop ship those kits to my patients, and then they do their stool collection, and then they send it in, and then I get the results. And it really, truly is the only way to identify exactly what's going on in the large intestine. All sorts of blood tests you can do to look for certain diseases, but truly, if you want to know what's going on with the normal gut bugs that should be there, whether they're in adequate amounts or too low or too high, bad gut bugs, too low, too high, gut bugs that should not even be there, parasites, fungus. And then this particular test that I run, if you have any sort of dysbiosis, which means imbalance of your gut microbiome, then they also test against natural remedies and allopathic remedies, so antibiotics and things, and they'll tell you which one will be effective against those particular issues. So it's really
That's
helpful.
fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I may be oversimplifying. So let's, right. But if there were like a top three things, top three, not that there's only three, but the top three things that tend to impact the gut microbiome,
Mhm.
from a regular everyday Joe perspective, like what can I be doing? My top three things to create a healthy gut microbiome, what would they be?
Certainly diet. So just to kind of break into sub bullets there, for number one, it would be diet. You need adequate fiber. Most Americans are not getting enough fiber. And you want to be having, again, like as much variety as possible. So the majority of the gut microbiome is made up of 2 types of bacteria that are your normal ones. So when you look at your probiotic labels, you'll usually see strains from bifidobacterium and lactobacillus. Those are your 2 like most plentiful with subspecies. So you want to be getting as much variety as possible and truly exposure to as many different foods and as you can, because that's what helps compose the diversity of the gut microbiome in general, which is considered to be healthy. Kind of like how we want our health to be incredibly responsive, we also want our gut to be incredibly responsive. So
And I'm going to jump in there real quickly, just from a a weight management coaching perspective. So some of you, like I know my clients like to eat the exact same thing every single day. And
Yes.
so hearing there should be a lot of diversity may create a little bit of anxiety thinking, oh my God, all the meal prep, all this, that, and the other. So think of something as simple as if you have fruit as a snack every day, choose 3 different fruits for that week and then have an apple one day, a peach one day, and berries one day. And so there's some variety. If you generally cook a buttload of chicken and then, you just kind of spread that out throughout the week, well, think about what vegetables are you pairing with that, and maybe one day have it with a salad, one day have it as a stir fry, and think it doesn't, you can still have a consistency. You can still do similar things, but just think about how to, if you're going to have chicken and vegetables every day, just switch out what is the vegetable. And maybe the next week, it's not chicken every day. And it's chicken 3 or 4 times a week. And then there's something else. And so continue to keep things simple so it's realistic.
Yeah.
But, give yourself like, here's my 3 to 5 things I'm going to have this week, and then purchase that. And then you can continue to have diversity and consistency at the same time.
Yeah. And you want to be getting as much variety, not just for your gut microbiome, but also for leaky gut, which again is something that's in your intestines. And what that means is that the layer that protects bad things from getting into your bloodstream and keeps the good things inside is disrupted. So your food is literally leaking into your blood, which causes an inflammatory and an immune response. And if you're eating the same things all the time, you very easily will develop sensitivities to them and cause yourself symptoms. So that's a whole other topic.
It is a whole other topic, but it's a good one to give that little brief synopsis. Okay, so nutrition and what we eat and having a lot of variety is number 1. What's number 2?
I would say number 2 would be probiotics. And this is a really controversial topic, not controversial so much that we're not sure if it's really effective, but I had a patient who, and I might have talked about this already, but I had a patient who was in a gastroenterologist's office and sent me a picture of the article that said, why probiotics don't matter. And I was like,
Awesome.
So there's so much to know about probiotics. And I think like if we can just give a little bit more information here, hopefully everybody finds this helpful. So number 1, not all probiotics are created equal. They're extremely different. Not all probiotics are for the same thing. So I mentioned that bifidobacterium and lactobacillus are 2 of the families of bacteria that are the most populated in our gut. But if you are exposed to something like a viral gastroenteritis, which just means food poisoning, then you would want to replenish with Saccharomyces boulardii. So there's all these different things, that's why it's probably difficult and overwhelming for most people to go to the store and know which probiotic to buy because there's so many. So ask your doctor about it, but also you can't just be on a probiotic forever. You want to be switching about every 6 months to a year just to give, again, your gut, you want the diversity. So you don't want to be taking the same probiotic all the time. Not all probiotics need to be refrigerated. Some are considered shelf stable. It will tell you on the bottle whether those species will survive at room temp or not. If it's something that needs to be refrigerated, it's okay if it gets to room temp for about an hour. Otherwise, it'll start to die. And if that bottle gets hot in your car in Arizona, for example, some of those species will die. Now, will it be totally ineffective? Probably not. But the more billion CFU you can find, generally, the better.
And is there like a minimum CFU you would recommend?
No, the ones that I tend to give my patients, again, it kind of depends on what's going on. There are some probiotics that are better for people with high cholesterol, some that are better for people with certain gut illnesses or diseases. But I would say very generally, the ones that I do are at least 10 billion CFU, usually closer to like 60 billion CFU though. So it really does vary widely. It's pretty difficult, just as like a last sort of subnote on this, it's pretty difficult for you to do harm to yourself with a probiotic. However, if you're someone who has SIBO or has Googled that and think you might have SIBO, it stands for small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. If you take probiotics, that will worsen your condition. If you take prebiotics, that will worsen your condition. You have to be incredibly specific if you have SIBO. And a very common symptom of this is bloating to the point that you look about 3 months pregnant at the end of every day. So,
Wow, that's
yeah,
good to
not
know.
in general, but crazy bloating is usually
Yeah.
SIBO. And there are breath tests for SIBO. And of course, you can do stool tests to identify. That's more large intestine, though. So, um, anyway, talk with a healthcare provider if you think that you have SIBO.
All right. So Lori, this is a good question. So we don't get the probiotics we need from yogurt. That's a good question.
There are some probiotics in yogurt. They tend to be lactobacillus, not all the time, but they're so small. So, I mean, anytime you can get probiotics in kombucha, yogurt's a great example. Fermented foods contain probiotics. It's healthy and it's good and it's beneficial, but it's likely just not enough. Now, if you're somebody who doesn't have any digestive complaints, you don't have really any symptoms, you probably don't need to be on a probiotic. But like I said, it generally doesn't hurt.
So this is what I think is a really good analogy to that. So any type of movement you can get throughout the day is good movement. It
Mhm.
doesn't replace formalized exercise if you have a sedentary job and you're just getting up and walking around the building, or you're pacing when you're on a phone call. But any movement's good movement. So same with that probiotic in yogurt, fermented food, and kombucha. As it's in throughout your day, it's great. Like that's so good. But it just may not be enough to replace taking an actual probiotic that's going to provide much more focused need. So the big thing I'm walking away with on that one, Dr. Katie, is that before you just decide to take a probiotic, probiotics are symptom specific, once again, maybe oversimplified, but talk to your doctor first about why you're interested in probiotic, what you're experiencing, and then they can direct you on what ingredients and what CFU factor you may want to be focusing on, and potentially a good brand that meets your needs.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so then number 3.
Number 3, I would say testing. I don't know that that's like generally a good thing. And you, of course, can't really do that on your own, but that's kind of the last picture here is really what we've talked about already, which is the stool test. If you want to know exactly what's going on in the gut, it's kind of the only way. There's been so much research about how your gut microbiome is impacted, and by everything that we do. Genetic factors, your environmental factors, what you're eating, of course, is a part of the environment. That's a big one. But if you don't know what's going on, really the only way to know exactly is to get a stool test. So it's not really a at-home lifestyle answer, but
Right. But still, it's something that we can control because we can go see our doctor and ask for that.
right.
So this is slightly off topic, but what's the difference between a probiotic and a prebiotic?
Sure. Prebiotics feed probiotics.
Okay.
That's it.
So if you're taking a probiotic, should you be taking a prebiotic?
Not necessarily. If you find that you're taking a probiotic and you're not getting a lot of like change in your digestive health, then you might consider getting a prebiotic just to kind of help. I'm sorry if that knocking is loud. I don't know what that is.
And so is prebiotic similar to probiotic, where you should talk to your doctor first about why you think you need one so they can direct you? Because are they as diverse in ingredient and CFU as a probiotic?
No, not usually. No, prebiotic is mostly things like inulin and other like fiber type supplements. So it's not like a gut bug. It's not bacteria related. But yes, I mean, and I'm always going to say that generally is like, if you just ask Facebook, if you ask your friends, your cousins, your mother-in-laws, whoever, it's not specific to you, right? And that's how naturopathic medicine is, and how functional medicine or integrative medicine works the best, is because everything is catered to you specifically as an individual for the needs that you have. So anytime that you're considering adding in a supplement to your regimen, somebody that you trust first. Ask your healthcare provider that you trust.
Okay. And then once again, guys, I'm asking questions until you do. And so far it's just me. So here we go. Hopefully I'm asking ones you're interested in. Otherwise, throw them in the chat. So from the gut microbiome standpoint, since it's just the large intestine, how do I ask this? So there are issues that you could feel with your esophagus, like acid reflux. There are issues in your stomach you could feel. small intestine, like you said, SIBO is specific, and then large intestine. So since gut microbiome focuses just on the large intestine, typically what are some of the symptoms that tell us the microbiome is unhappy?
Yeah. Bloating can be one of those, certainly. It's related to a lot of things. If you're having that reflux, usually that's a stomach thing. Constipation, diarrhea, that can be large intestine related, but it's related to so many things too. You know, you can have hormonal dysfunction causing that and would have nothing to do with your large intestine. Um, I'm cutting in and out at all, by the way.
You
Sometimes
are.
you freeze. Okay. All right. Hopefully everybody you get the majority of what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's funny. It looks like you're freezing, but then I'm like, it's probably me. Anyway, other large intestine concerns. If you're somebody who has trouble losing weight, that could be a big one too, is to do a stool test. Stool tests will not only test for bacteria, of course, like I mentioned, also protozoa and fungus and all sorts, parasites, but also candida. And we do have a little bit of natural candida. If you're somebody who eats a high sugar diet or drinks a lot of alcohol, those are two things that can really feed candida. And that tends to cause constipation mostly. But bloating is a big deal, inability to lose weight, and even what you find to be excessive sugar cravings, because the candida wants to eat more sugar.
So guys, just, candida is a yeast. It's a yeast in the stomach that lives off of sugar, and it creates a lot of stomach upset when it's out of control. And I don't know if you want to add to that. I think there's quite a few people out there that may not know what candida is.
Oh, sure. Yes.
So go ahead, Dr. Katie. You're smarter at this than I am.
Oh, no, I think that was a good explanation. Yeah, we do have some natural yeast, candida, in our bodies, and candida can also be a problem for some women. If you have recurrent yeast infections, that might actually be a sign that you have an overgrowth of candida in your gut. Those areas are very close together.
Right?
Yes.
It's right there.
Yeah.
All right.
What else? We're about done. And I sorry if I have not explained well, or if it's cut out at an important part. I hope everyone's gotten a good amount of information so far.
Yeah, 98% of what you said, you could totally hear, even if you froze.
Okay, good.
Otherwise, I would have stopped you. Yeah.
Okay.
So walking away from this, the gut microbiome is specific to the large intestine. It can affect a variety of different things inside of the body, from the brain, how the brain reacts, to hormonal reactions, to weight loss. So it is not necessarily the cause of any of that, but it could be. So it should be involved in any conversations you have with a doctor if you are experiencing some level of malfunction somewhere in the body. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, like with patients, for example, this is not a test that I run usually first. It's usually after 6 or more months of other testing. So usually blood testing, food sensitivity testing, all sorts of other labs that let us know, okay, we've peeled back this onion layer, and this is normal. We've treated this, and you've still got symptoms. Then that's when a stool test might be indicated.
And so I just want to put this plug in there, because the stool test is not cheap.
No. And
but
usually not covered by insurance.
Say again?
Usually not covered by insurance.
All the good news we're sharing with you today. But one thing that I do want all of you to think about when you think about the cost of a stool test versus the value of a pain-free lifestyle, right? There's an investment in your health. There's an investment in your feeling good, in your mood, in your quality of life. That's an investment versus a cost. Literally, if you're a Starbucks drinker, you can afford a stool test, right? If you tend to drink beer or wine throughout the week, you can afford a stool test. It's really a matter of where you're putting your money. One is a cost, one is an investment. And so when you are feeling discomfort badly enough, that investment is going to be worth it. And so just don't limit your ability to enjoy a really happy, healthy life because of a few $100. Right. That's my one plug. All right. So just to recap it, the 3 things as regular Joe Schmo, Jane Schmo can do to help the gut microbiome: 1, your health. What you eat, your nutrition, right? Keep it various, include a good amount of fiber. 2 is probiotics.
Yes.
Right? And asking your doctor or talking to your doctor about your own symptoms to determine the best probiotic for you, because they are different.
Yep.
And 3, talking to your doctor about the appropriate testing for what you're experiencing. And as Dr. Katie pointed out, it may not start with the stool sample because that is expensive. And there are a variety of other things that it could be first. And if it is one of those things, that will save you from investing as much in creating that health and happiness you're looking for. But after about a 6-month time span, it may be requested of you to do that, so we can get to the actual bare bones bottom of what could it actually be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did I miss anything?
I don't think so. Maybe just something I could just briefly mention is I've got a few patient cases that I can think of that were really significantly improved by stool testing. So I had a patient with really horrible adult acne, and it wouldn't go away. And so we discovered the cause from a stool test, and she's been better. And she also had joint pain. The same person had joint pain. And so, you know, you might consider autoimmune disease or something like that, but it was just a large intestine dysbiosis, a pretty significant one that we found. What was another one? Somebody who had consistently recurrent loose stool. So they didn't even realize that a solid stool was possible because of how long they had dealt with loose stool and just multiple bowel movements a day. So again, stool test indication, right? So we ran that, figured out what it was, and then now they're better, and now your poos are better. And it's amazing how that affects your day. It really does.
It does. I have lots of digestive issues, people, so I can account for just like there's good poop. You can't underestimate that.
And then I think final patient was menstrual irregularities with consistent headaches. So, I mean, when we talk about gut microbiome, we're talking about microbiome in general. It impacts everything. And sometimes, you know, like I said, how it starts is from mom. And so, you know, if you know your mom's not super healthy and you might like think she's got some different gut bugs going on in there that either don't belong or aren't the right ones or whatever, you might consider doing a stool test because maybe some of your symptoms are related to that, because it truly can vary incredibly widely.
I think that's cool. That's a great variety of examples of how the gut microbiome can impact someone that doesn't seem relevant to the large intestine.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, guys, that was super. Dr. Katie, you are a rock star. You're brilliant.
Thank you.
I love when you say all the big words too.
Yeah. Which words are big?
It was, you said one, like if you're, what'd you say? If you're struggling, from like food poisoning stuff, the type of probiotic.
Gastroenteritis.
Yes. And then the type of probiotic you needed. And I was like, you go, girl. Off the top of your head, just say it.
Well, thank you. I love talking about it. And I hope everybody got something out of it too. You know, whether you were viewing live or watching later.
Yeah, 100%. And so guys, 2 things that I want to leave you with. One, if you are struggling with anything gut related or you think it is gut related and you don't have a naturopath, Dr. Katie is phenomenal. She is in it's Tempe technically, but it is in what I call the vortex, because it's literally where Chandler, Tempe, Ahwatukee all meet.
Yes.
And so very convenient location because she's right there on Priest and Ray. And so obviously super knowledgeable. And 2, if you are working with a health coach, a trainer, a dietitian, someone that isn't connected with a naturopath, you really do want to partner with somebody who's got a doctor as their partner, because as Dr. Katie proved today, there's so much that she knows, that she's studied, that she's been trained, that those of us that don't have that doctorate, that medical degree have. And so she's my right-hand man when I'm working with a client that is struggling with gut health, weight loss, and I'm able to send them to her or go to her myself and say, help me out. This is what they're struggling with. And so always partner with someone that's got a doctor on their side. And if you don't have somebody that helps you, please come see me. You've obviously found our pages. And so reach out to either one of us so we can help you.
Yeah, love it. We had a mutual patient who had gas and bloating that just would not go away. And so now we are probably looking at a stool test.
Yep.
Anyway, love the joint force.
Yep, that's it. We get to help the world. I love it.
Yes.
All right, guys. Well, happy Thursday. Happy St. Patty's Day. I almost forgot.
Hey. Green beer probably doesn't help the gut microbiome, but it's okay.
Right? That's it. And don't worry about it. It's one day.
Yep.
So yeah, enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy the rest of the week. And we'll see you in 2 weeks with a new topic. We don't know what, but you can always send us some recommendations in the comments of this feed.
Yes.
Blunt and Biased, out.
Bye, y'all.